Hey everybody, Kevin Duffy here of MassLive.com, joined as always by Mark Daniels of the Providence Journal. The Pats win 33-16 today against the Titans. Obviously, kind of what we expected. The game did get a little closer than I think most people thought it would, but it was pretty much coasting the whole way. There was never a point in the game where you really felt that the Pats had any chance of losing. Mark, what were your takeaways today?
I think one big takeaway is the pass rush. It's been fantastic this year. They had 5 sacks today between two quarterbacks, Zach Mettenberger and Marcus Mariota. But a big reason why Marcus Mariota was out in the second half, was because Jamie Collins. He had a great sack on him and it knocked him out of the game. This has been a continuous theme for the Pats this year. Kind of coming in, everyone said the pass rush has to be better because they don't have Revis and Browner. Now, granted, the secondary's been fine, but this pass rush has tallied a sack in every single game. Now, if the Patriots keep that up, the last time that happened was 1979, and only 4 other teams in Patriots history have done that, so that's super impressive. 5 sacks today, 2 from Chandler Jones, who has 12.5, which is a career high.
And the big guy touchdown today. Akeem Hicks
Huge.
Scored the touchdown where Chandler Jones stripped it. Akeem Hicks picked it up briefly, then fumbled it, then pounced on the end zone. Kind of the funniest quote to come out of the Pats locker room today was Alan Branch, who's 350. He's listed 350 pounds. He might be more than that. He said that big fellows scoring TDs. It's always funny no matter what, and he's definitely right. It was. Another big takeaway today I thought was just the continued development of James White. He's not Deion Lewis, and it's kind of what he said when he took over that role. He goes, I'm not trying to be Superman. I'm not going to do what he did. I'm just going to do what I can do. I think each week we're seeing him run with more confidence with the ball in his hands. He makes moves each week that I don't think we knew he could make.
Right. And I think if there was one thing I saw from him in training camp or in the preseason games is that after the catch, he looked pretty good. After the catch, he could make a guy miss at the line of scrimmage and gain 10 yards. I thought from that, James White had something, but the biggest thing with him was that he never got a chance to show it. Obviously, Deion Lewis was amazing. No one was taking that job from him. And it's taken James White a little bit of time, but since he has, it's been such an added bonus for the Pats, and especially Tom Brady, to have that extra running back in on third down that he can rely on. That's huge for the Patriots offense. We've seen it before. Vereen, Woodhead, Folk. Now, White's doing his thing.
Yeah, I kind of liken White to Vereen in the sense that, Lewis was so great at making guys miss that I think people kind of overlooked. He could run through some tackles too. Lewis could run through contact and pick up yards after contact. White's not going to pick up a lot of yards after contact, but as we saw, when he gets the ball out in space on screens, he can make guys miss in the open field. So I think even he said today, the more you're out there, the more confident you are. And I think we're seeing that, this is kind of a reflection of just him being comfortable with his role, with where he's on the team, and just overall his confidence. I guess lastly, we had some more injuries today, of course. Dante Hightower goes out with a left knee, which is the same knee injury that kept him out the past 2 games. Hightower was in the locker room afterward. He didn't speak to reporters, but he did have his left knee was wrapped, which is not a huge surprise. But he did come out he was on the sidelines after he was in the locker room. So that's a good sign. You had Danny Amendola also exit with a left knee, which again is the same knee that kept him out of that Denver game. So kind of recurring injuries,
right?
Say. And then
and
Patrick Chung, of course, too.
Yeah, with the hip injury. And I mean, the tough thing with the Patriots now is every game we go into saying the same thing: stay healthy, don't get injured. And last week there were 4 injuries. 2 were season-ending with Blunt and Easley now on the IR, and then McCourty and Freeney were out today from injuries they also sustained in Houston. It's getting a little ridiculous. For the Patriots, though, I feel it's really important for them to not rush guys back in these final 2 games. A little disappointing for me to see Amendola and Hightower go down with knee injuries after they already suffered knee injuries this season. That kind of tells me that these guys weren't 100%. And and if that was the case, why rush Dante Hightower back against the Tennessee Titans? They didn't need him for this game, and if he's out again for a few more weeks, maybe it's okay. But if this is a guy that might miss time in the playoffs, that's huge because he's one of your most important defensive players.
Yeah, it's a debate to be had because I don't know if I would agree with them saying they rushed back because Amendola's played 2 games. This is his 3rd game coming back. And, I mean, these guys aren't going to be 100%. But if they feel close enough to play, I don't think that the Patriots training staff, knowing what the playoff situation is, which is, they really need to screw up pretty bad to not get the number 1 seed.
Right.
Especially if Denver loses to Pittsburgh today. But I don't think they would put a guy out there, who was 65%. I think they will have taken their time. And Hightower was out for 2 weeks, so it's hard to say if they rushed them back too fast. But the fact of it is that they both did aggravate the injuries that they previously had, so we'll see their status going forward here against the Jets.
Right, and the thing with Amendola was the reason he was punt returning in the first place is because everyone else was kind of terrible at it. Chris Harper muffed a punt in Denver, and last week in Houston, Keyshawn Martin muffed a punt. Now, Amendola hasn't been anywhere near 100%. He's been limited, and you've seen that in his playing time. But the reason he's back there is because special teams and ball security is huge. Now, granted, he also fumbled the punt, but
right, he fumbled too.
So it was kind of a necessity for him to be out there, even though that position is kind of high injury prone. It's tough to see guys like Edelman and Amendola returning those punts when you know the risk.
Right. So 2 more games left. The Pats are at 12-2, and really, if they win out, they're going to claim the number 1 seed. And even if they lose a game to the Jets, depending on what happens with Denver, they're still in position to claim the number 1 because they do hold the tiebreaker with Cincinnati. So we will touch base with you guys next week from New York.